Welcome back to the channel. Today we will be reviewing the Spring Matsuri event, Driftoberfest, and the 5K Grassroots Shootout event. Feel free to drop a comment down below what you think of my driving and what you think I should improve for next year. First event we're going to look at is Spring Matsuri event. Last year it was super wet. It was basically like driving on a lake on track. Not ideal conditions, but still a lot of fun. Basically, you just sit there and run hot laps. It's a great opportunity to change your drifting setup in your car and drifting style. You get to play with a lot of different, techniques that you normally wouldn't use. This is the event that I started to incorporate left foot braking, which changed drifting for me for the rest of the season, really improved my driving. So we're gonna get right into it and see how this event went. Like I was saying just a bit ago, Spring Matsuri was super wet, super sloppy mess. It rained and thunderstormed really bad the first day, so we're gonna get right into it here. You can see the track is super wet, super slippery, not ideal conditions at all. It basically throws you completely off of what you normally would do on dry pavement. A wet concrete track is basically like an ice rink. You have to be really careful going around corners, and you have to actually run less steering angle than you normally would and try and be as consistent as you can. Try not to be messing with the throttle too much, just hold that constant speed, and then try not to be real twitchy with your steering wheel as well. At the beginning of this event, I did have to adjust some of my camber in the front and also my caster on the driver's side after smacking into the wall at Drifting the Plains 2. That played a big part in how the car handled and felt at this event, but the whole point of this event was just feel it out and get the car working how it was supposed to. Now we're into day 2 here. The track is starting to dry off a little bit, so it's really patchy. So on dry concrete, you get a lot of grip, you get real hooked up coming into a corner with a lot of water. Really throws off the car, unsettles the car in angle. You got to be really careful, especially when you're trying to run close tandems. But it's still really fun because it slows down the cars a lot, so you can really work on trying to gain proximity on people and just hold the car sideways. Now here I was kind of playing with camera angles a little bit. I like this camera angle. It really shows you the front wheel and what it's doing, and if I'm being twitchy with the steering wheel or not. Some spots when I get into high angle, I feel like I'm starting to get pretty twitchy, so I don't over rotate. There was a good save there. Somebody spun out in front of me on a wet patch. Once you get to high angle in the Miata, it gets really twitchy and it can bind up on that upper control arm, so you have to be really careful, and you ride quite a fine line of too much angle or not enough. Running the Manji and the Miata is super fun as well. You just really flick it into it and ride the wall in the center. And then this big sweeper corner all the way around here still had some wet patches out there, so you had to be really careful, but it's super fun to run that really nice and wide over there. Now we'll move on to the Driftoberfest event. This is at the end of the season. Basically, this entire event I was running on scrubs, so it was pretty interesting. Not very good tire conditions for running a hot lap with really fast cars, but it's still, you gotta use up the tires. I'm not one to just throw out a half a set of tires. I like to get as much use out of them as I can. So even with some scrubs, trying to run some close tandems, it's just a fun event, so we're not looking to like smash doors in or anything. But still, practicing, getting more seat time, it's very important. Starting to get a little close there, was a little too far on the inside and had to pull out a little bit, but got right back into it. With this year, I had quite a bit of issues with the car getting pretty hot after more than 2 laps. So you could see I'd run maybe 2 laps and then pull off just to let the car cool down. This year I ran a stock plastic top radiator, and then 2024 I am going to be moving to an aluminum core, like double pass style radiator, so there's going to be more coolant and it should flow a lot better. See, I got a little close to the wall there, actually tapped the back bumper and it unsettled the car quite a bit, but I was able to stay into it there. It was really fun driving with this other Miata, getting to see what my car can do alongside of another Miata that's also turboed. He's got a pretty big turbo setup compared to mine, but it's still pretty comparable. These next couple laps ran 3-car tandem. I kind of let them get a little space because I was trying out a new set of tires here, wasn't sure what they were going to do. These tires were sitting in the garage for almost an entire year without being touched. So coming up here, trying to catch up, gain some proximity, and not get too close and sandwich that 350Z in the middle there. Not looking to wreck my car at the final event of the season. It's just, we're just having fun, so there's no point in wrecking the car. But I'm still trying to get close enough to where it's a pretty nice, fun tandem. If you could see there's some sparks coming off of the black car there, off the tires. They're getting pretty bald, but still, he's got a lot of grip on that car. Now we're going to move on to the 5K Grassroots Shootout. I will go over this a little bit before we actually get into this. I was not planning to go to this event at all. My truck was not running right at the time. I had injectors that were misfiring, and quite frankly, I didn't even have a ticket purchased. I wasn't ready to go to this event. My car wasn't ready to go to the event. I was hit up like 2 days before and said, hey, there's a ticket available, do you want it? So I ended up jumping on it, things worked out. Somebody else was able to pull my trailer up to the event, which was super cool. But I only had about 12 hours to get my car ready. Did an oil change, swapped tires out, got all the tires into the trailer, basically packed everything that I would pack between a trailer and a truck, all into the trailer. So the trailer was super heavy, way overloaded than I normally would. Everything's crammed in there, packed like halfway full. But I was able to make it, and I was able to compete. It was super great, super fun event. Way different than the normal Drifting the Plains events, and you'll see that here. It was a double elimination, so if you're not familiar with how that works, you have one side of the bracket that's a winner's bracket. When you get knocked out of that one, you move into a loser's bracket, and you work up to the top of that bracket as well. And the winner of both brackets face each other in the finals for the championship there. So we'll get into this here. For not being prepared for this event, I thought I did pretty decent, especially with a Miata against some pretty high horsepower cars. Coming into the first round here, decent initiation, was quite a ways back, farther than I should have been, but I was able to kind of start to catch up to him through this keyhole, and then I was able to hold on to it for the second half of the run. He's got a lot more grip in that car than I do. I believe he was running 245s. That's the tire limit for this event. I'm only running 205s, so I was quite an underdog for the entire event. Coming through that final sweeper, trying to follow his line and stay as close as I could, but I just couldn't gain that proximity that I lost on initiation. Coming into my lead. So on my lead, I kind of just had to floor it and give it all I had. I was kind of trying out using radios with my wife this year, and it worked pretty decent. I at least caught a little bit of an idea of how I was running on track, just from an outside perspective. When you're in the car, you think you're doing really good and you're really close, but on the outside, you're not actually as close as you think. Now that was a really good run on that keyhole sweeper there. Coming through on the power alley here, started to pull just a smidge on him. He was able to gain proximity pretty fast on me, and then he held it right up there, pretty close to my door the rest of the run. Not bad for the first round of competition there at the 5K, but I did get knocked out and moved into the losers bracket after that. First round in the losers bracket, I led first. Initiation was pretty decent. He was pretty close to me on initiation. I was able to hold it pretty wide open there, but I missed that rear touch and go at the start there. Was able to get into that keyhole pretty well, filled the zone okay. And then coming back through this way towards the power alley, was not all the way to the rear touch and go again, and then the inner clip was pretty good. But I pulled a decent gap on him coming into the main final sweeper there. He had to cut quite a bit to try and catch up to me. So overall, not a bad lead run, but not as good as it probably could have been. Moving into the chase position, trying to get a little bit better proximity on initiation, but he was able to pull away just a little bit. I believe he's supercharged, so he's got quite a bit more torque and power to pull away. I did catch up fairly well there. Then he pulled away on that rear touch and go coming through that keyhole sweeper there. And it basically kept a car length away from me the rest of the run. I cut really far on the inside there to catch up some proximity. But then he still pulled that car length back away from me. Cutting a lot of line there to try and catch back up. He was a little off the wall, so I was able to actually maintain a decent distance on him, but still way off from what I should have been, just not where I needed to be for proximity. I did manage to secure the win on that one, moving into the second round of the losers bracket here. Initiation was pretty decent, probably my best one so far. Coming in here, I did straighten just a smidge coming into that keyhole, which cost me a lot of points. And he was just right on me coming out of that keyhole there. He actually tapped the bumper there. The rest of the run, he was basically all over me. I couldn't pull any distance on him. He was just right there. Now going into the chase run here, he pulled away from me a little bit on that initiation, and basically right from the start, he pulled away from me. He went really wide, dropped a tire, and I dropped a tire as well, followed him into the dirt there, and the whole run, I couldn't catch back up to him. The moral of that story is, if you're not on their door on initiation, you will not stay on their door, and it's so hard to catch back up with a smaller car like mine. Coming back into that main sweeper corner, I cut a lot of proximity with a way off line just to try and catch back up to him. And from the outside perspective there, I was like two and a half car lengths away from him, and I ended up losing that battle. Overall, it was a pretty decent event. I had a lot of fun at that event, and I learned a lot. So for next year, basically I have to take everything I learned from 2023, try and implement that into the 2024 season. We'll see how that all goes. And next year, I'm also gonna throw some more grip at the car, see if I can get this thing moving a little bit faster. So that's gonna about wrap it up for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.